Take off! It's time for Doug and Ben's Great NASCAR Adventure!
I still can't believe Marshall lets us play that each week.
Well, that type of guy.
He is. Welcome to NasCanucks. I'm Ben. He's Doug.
Some other guys in NASCAR.
And that's Keith in the chat. So, three's a party. So, Homestead action, all 3 series running. But before we even get into that, because typical, as of the recording of this, they decide to do something right after the recording of the broadcast of this. StreamYard might record it. Oh, we don't have a viewer anymore. Keith locked his phone by mistake. He was so excited that we were live. He was watching his phone, locked it, and now he's gone. After my rant last week, apparently NASCAR listened, Doug, and decided to, for the first time ever, which I agree, this is technically the first time ever, a driver has been suspended a race for I'll call it a competitive wreck, because the precedent being Matt Kenseth, who was 15 laps down, who literally drove around at half throttle going, "Where's Sky Smiley? Where's Sky Smiley? Oh, there he is."
Yeah.
So, not quite the same.
We know NASCAR did nothing. Absolutely nothing. Fuck all, nothing to a Hendrick Motorsports owner going into the final race.
Or the fact that Carson Hocevar has done it 3 times this year, Doug? Just 3 times this year.
But in the past, that Hendrick owner sat and stopped on the track waiting for the guy who was challenging his...
Yeah, but that's different, though. That's different. That's more the Hendrick
Motorsports can do whatever they want.
But that's different.
Hendrick car
again, totally different, because stopped on it, wasn't competitive in the heat of the moment. This is the first time in a heat of the moment incident has resulted in a suspension. The closest would have been, for precedent, would be Kyle Busch and Ron Hornaday, which actually he did get suspended for that.
Yes.
So
and it was under caution.
It was under caution. Yeah, it wasn't even under green, so figure that out.
Which we know already this year, another Hendrick driver was like, "No, you're okay to do that."
Again, Carson Hocevar.
Yeah.
At least. The closest this would be Noah Gragson at Road America, who even admitted he did it.
Again, Hendrick driver. Do you see a pattern here?
Not a Hendrick driver. A GMS driver.
Who's the owner on that car?
On that car? Kelly.
Where's that money coming from? We all know.
That money. No, they just give all the technology for free. So, yes. So, Bubba Wallace suspended, sitting out the race. And John Hunter Nemechek who was originally the original sub in case anything happened to anybody, regardless of things, because they kept looking at Ty Gibbs, let's say 3 months ago, too soon, too new, too soon. Let's not rush him. Weeks go by, and they're like, every time, Ty is raising his stock every week, going, "Hey, I'm available." And so, but he was already busy. So this would be probably the first time ever a 2-car team has fielded 2 cars without their primary drivers.
Yes.
Although, because Kurt Busch's announcement was last week, is Ty Gibbs still technically a substitute driver?
I would think so, yes.
Okay. Because he's not actually been named to the ride.
Right.
Right. So, yeah.
And he is going in for the rest of the season.
Okay. So, I guess we should talk about trucks first, not go straight to Cup, Mazel. Cutoff race, penultimate, that's the word, second to last. It's a fancy way of saying second to last. Penultimate race in the season, did not know that. Because schedule, yeah, right. They only run once a month, and it's October, right?
Yep.
So, penultimate race for the championship 4. We definitely had a horse in the race, in our boy Stuart Friesen. Asphalt's on the weekend, dirt during the week. That's how he rolls. And who else was in the hunt there? There was 8 guys. I'm not going to name them all. Look it up.
Yep.
Sure. Friesen was basically doing what he needed to do. And, at first, Doug, I'm like, it's an intermediate track, right?
Yep.
Boring. But it's Homestead, right? And I'm like, yeah, but Homestead, they always do the transition stuff, whatever. Well, it's still hot down in Miami. I'm like, oh, bonus, right? And within the first half hour of the race, I thought, we need to put Miami on the schedule twice a year, and maybe one of the races be hot. So that track is hot and slick, because it has no grip. And and that's why I think, because we found by the first stage, we're getting 4 seconds a lap fall off on the tires. And you know me, I'm like, oh, giddy up. And not to mention, by about lap 18, Stuart Friesen went, oh, giddy up, because they were all coming back to him. They're like, there's not a lot of grip out there. You're going to feel kind of loose and really have to feather the throttle. And he keyed back, okay, boss. Wheelhouse, right here. Because that was just a 1.5 mile dirt track. So, which was great. Yes. And he was able to, because he was running like 7th most of the first stage. I'm like, oh, if he could get just a spot or 2. And then up to 3rd, and he did that.
And John Hunter Nemechek put himself out early by
doing his best impersonation of Chase Elliott. When it's crunch time, he's going to crunch.
Mm-hmm.
Keith didn't return. We still have nobody watching us live. Just saying that.
And do you know what I just realized?
What?
You did not move your seat to the left.
I did not. You just realized that.
I did.
Yeah. It's been a busy day.
Been about, half an hour?
Yeah. Symmetry was supposed to remind Hip Metalworks to tune in live. I'm going to assume there's a problem with YouTube and it's down or something right now. Because why else do we not have it?
I know Facebook and StreamYard are not talking.
Yes. Yeah, I got that big blue banner. Hey! I'm like, hey, easy. Not even connected. Anyway, so Ty Majeski was he seemed one at Bristol. We didn't cover that because that's one of the lost episodes. But Ty Majeski, who was already locked in, seemed to be doing his Noah Gragson impersonation. It's like, well, Moz will just win all the races going down the stretch.
Mm-hmm.
And so he was to hammer down, and but and then we had Ben Rhodes right there at the cutoff, and then what I saw, because we got into the final stage, and what I saw in the last part of the race was team orders, because
you think.
Yeah, because we had talked. Oh, we have one person watching, or was that you just checking to see that? I knew that was you.
Yeah. Because Crafton coming up on the leaders, fastest truck, and putting on the fastest lap.
We have 2 people watching. Did you open up a second device?
No, I didn't. I actually closed that one, so it's.
Oh wow! I wonder who showed up. Hello, 2 people. Yeah, and we were doing an off-air hang on Sunday night, and I went, oh, I watched the truck race. I haven't seen it yet. I'm like, hashtag team orders. Frustration.
Crafton.
No, actually, it came on. You came on. You're like, oh, I have a rant. And I'm like, oh, I have a rant too.
And then seeing it, like, Crafton just... He threw the anchor out on the SS Minnow.
Yeah, like it's really bad that during the broadcast, like they literally, because they don't say it often, but I'm going to say 4 times during a race, you'll hear, hey, this guy's currently got the fastest lap on the track. And they went, hey, keep an eye on Matt Crafton. He laid down the fastest lap of the race. And then as soon as he saw the rear bumper of Ben Rhodes, he used all the brakes.
Yep.
All the brakes. And then none of the throttle the rest of the race, it seemed. And then they both caught up to one of their teammates, Eckes, who was below the cut line and thought the best way to gain, I guess, on the competition was to let his teammate go by him. Doesn't quite work out that way. Yeah. So by Rhodes saving on 2 spots from his teammates,
yep,
he ended up beating Stuart Friesen by 1 point, which if you figure, tie and then 1 back, Stuart Friesen would have. And even if they tied, Ben Rhodes apparently finished second at Talladega, so in this round. Yep. So he had the tiebreaker. Because we're looking at Stewart running third. I'm like, third's pretty good. They're like, yeah, that's not second.
Yeah.
Oof. Yeah. So Stewart will be fine. There's still a bunch of dirt track racing going on to finish out the year. All the big money races are this time of year in the Northeast. So that's good.
I remember they are, yeah, because he probably won't be in Charlotte next weekend. He could, though.
He could. John Hunter Nemechek misses the cutoff. I think he's just going to be happy to see the season end. What started out really well, you noticed, actually, now that I think about it, Doug, as Kyle Busch's season went, ironically, so did John Hunter Nemechek's.
Yep.
Right? For a variety of reasons. So, yeah. Again, no particular word. I assume it sounds like people throw, oh, Toyota, you got to do something if you want to retain John Hunter Nemechek. I think they're working on it because the 2 rumors I've heard is, like, one, we don't.
I seen today that John Hunter Nemechek is a Toyota driver.
Yes. Okay.
Will be a Toyota driver next year.
What I had heard first was the 18 car in Cup, which maybe as a placeholder, but that really hurts him career-wise as placeholder. More than likely, what we'll see is him in a Xfinity car. What's up, Guitar Man 45?
I think so.
Likely under the Gibbs banner.
So if Bain doesn't take it, does he take the 18 car?
We'll see. Now, Bain has no idea. He assumes, we'll get to him because he ran later in the same day. He was assuming he's running his last career race right now, as of now, because he has nothing in the works. Yep. Wide open. Like the Tom Petty song. Wide open. The great wide open, even. Excuse me. So, yeah, that'll be interesting. So, yeah, the final 4, you got Ty Majeski with 2 wins going into the last race. We've got Chandler Smith, who's going to be moving up to Xfinity next year.
Which I was surprised that was his first time running in Miami.
Yeah, I'm like, how's that work out? Because I'm like,
I thought he would have had at least the last race last year.
Yeah, he's been around.
Yeah.
Because he's kind of done an up and down thing, type, right? Like he's done multiple series and stuff. And so there's that. I believe one of the Zane Smith might have got in as well.
Yes.
Well. And, Ben Rhodes, right. Hey, Cushman, I'm going to drive a NASCAR car at Pocono. It's called NASCAR Experience, $600. Yes. Enjoy. Remember to use all the brakes going into turn 1. And really nail the tunnel turn. Otherwise, it's going to really nail you.
And when the guy says to make sure you hit your marks, don't let him scream like a girl. Like someone on this show did.
We're not going to name names. I've never driven with a spotter or a co-driver. So, figure that out. Yeah, well, that gets in later in the day. The Xfinity. Hey, Will, thanks. Awesome. Enjoy, though. That's one of my favorite tracks. Pocono. I've always been a fan of Pocono because you can string them out and involve the whole team in the race. Assuming they don't break it up with manufactured cautions, aka stage breaks. So going into Xfinity, not a cutoff race.
Nope.
Interesting. Gregson's been on a tear. You can't. You can't not pay attention to the guy. Dinger, he was a bit off last week, but okay. Josh Berry's locked in.
Yep, got the win last week.
Nothing to lose, so that means it's happy playtime. And even Allgaier, Allgaier's kind of doing his Allgaier thing, which is that veteran in the series. Hey, I'm going to kill you with top sevens.
Yep.
That's Allgaier. And if it happens to be the race on concrete, I'm going to win.
Mm-hmm.
That's his deal. But a threat every week. JRM is just dominating this year, in many ways, because previous round, going into this round, it was looking like they had a chance to have all 4 cars in the final 4, possibly.
Yep. Oh yeah.
So, and Dinger's teammates, Landon Castle had a good run.
He did, yes.
In the 10. Hey, Symmetry. There you are. Yeah, you are late. That's okay. It's only wet. What's going on at 6 o'clock? Yeah, you're late. Where's Ken? You're supposed to remind Ken. Trevor Bayne. Got to start at the back. I don't care. It's going to be hard to pass. I don't think it will be. He goes, everyone's running around the top. I'll just run the bottom. And just... Hey, but both the truck... You didn't see it in the Cup race as much, Doug. And I think it's because everyone's driving a little scared still in that series. But the dive bomb / slide job... And, as much as I hate to say it, Gregson was doing it to the 11th degree. He was just diving into the bottom and just, you could tell he was just overdriving. So it would just wash out within an inch of the wall. And I was, I'm like, that's pretty impressive. I'm not going to lie, and I'm just wondering, the dirt trackers in the Cup Series are going, I cannot wait, to the point where, what was it? Prior to the start of the Xfinity race, Sam Mayer was already checking out. I don't know if you saw that during the pace laps.
Kind of, yeah.
He had it all the way to the wall. And they figured it was just so he can visualize, okay, the top of the safer barrier is, 40% up the doorpost or something, you can tell he's getting that exact reference point.
And you know what? And to that extent, I know these guys are all professionals, but to go back to Cushman there, when I did that at Disney there,
yeah,
you really got to see where you are to be. I thought I was up against the wall. I was nowhere near the wall.
No,
right? It's just it's a lot harder than what it looks.
Yeah, and it's a great idea under a caution or a pace lap, because then worst case you do a little against the wall.
Yep.
You didn't just kill your day. But yeah, it was, and yeah, everyone was rim riding, and we had tire fall off, and it was great. Trevor Bayne put on a hell of a show.
He was back to front.
And Gregson was doing that rabbit thing. He was just pulling 9-second leads and stuff, and and even the team's like, you might want to save on your tires, and he's like, I am. You guys just gave me a great car. He had it. You could tell he had the great setup, and and then of course, because it's Xfinity and not Cup, you had a lot of guys kissing the wall throughout the race. Which fine, that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
It was an interesting race. And I was going to say, I kept an eye on, what was it, the 07 that Deegan was in last week.
Yes.
And that car did much worse this week. So, again, okay, I'll give you props on that.
You did a great job at Vegas.
Yeah. So, Yeah, and it came down. Dinger was up there, and I'm like, yeah, go, but he couldn't quite. He tried.
Yeah, no, yeah.
He is driving hard. He is
But for
driving
how far he was
aggressive.
back, the amount of stuff he made up. Well, everyone else had issues, but to be back inside the top 4 now, even though it's only by 5 points.
Yeah, but he had to work for that, because he, much like Chickaboo there in the Cup Series, he had all the points going into the playoffs, and he has all the points kind of carrying over from round to round, but he's got to get into round to round, and, being off, there's Hitmo works, and Keith's back. Like, life matters. Yeah, it does. AJ is driving possibly the best he's driven, like in stock car racing.
Yes.
His confidence there, like it was interesting to hear him on the radio, because he's one of those self-doubters.
Yes.
But he was like, I'm not getting my head on this. I can do it. They're like, you got to ride the top. He's like, I'm a bottom feeder. And like, not anymore, Bubbaloo. You need to get up top. And he's like, I don't like it up here, but I'm doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so, what was it? Gregson ends up winning the race.
Yes.
I hear someone offer him a beer when he's sitting on the wall, which he barely climbed the fence this week.
Yes, and even when he got up on top of the car, and that crew guy that helped him down was like, "Don't puke on me."
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. But you know what? If he wants to, like, when he just kind of leaned on the car and did the interview that way, I'm like, do that. That's kind of cool. I like that. Like, I was like, even though he apparently fixated on turn 1, something was going on in turn 1. It must have been. I assume it was a squirrel.
Yeah.
No, but it seemed to have his focus.
Mm-hmm.
So, and do that. Yeah. Pick out something and just look. You don't have to look at the camera. You don't have to look at the person interviewing you. Obviously, you don't like eye contact. Just,
I think he's just so, so now he's just so out of it after a race.
Yeah.
That he just can't, which at some point NASCAR is going to have to step in. Because
I can't help you, Keith. I'm at the mercy of my bandwidth.
It's like this every week.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, exactly. Keith, the interesting thing is, I think it's the old James Brown thing, where, I'm tired, it throws off the cape, and I can do more, because we have not seen this once after a Cup race he's run. And he's been running Cup races.
The AMR safety team did go to him before he went to Victory Lane, I believe.
Yeah. Maybe they're calling it somewhere. Well, this is what I'm saying. Like, the AMR safety team should be at his car after every Cup race, because those are longer races. Although I don't know, maybe those cars are a touch cooler, because they got the vents and stuff. I don't know. I don't know. I haven't been in one.
But then again, everyone else is wearing all these cool shirts and doing everything else to try and get themselves.
He doesn't wear that shit,
and he doesn't do nothing.
No. I mean, he's trying to sweat out the jowls.
And honestly, if Junior wants to talk
exercising, he doesn't look like he exercises.
Not at all. And clearly, if Junior is all up on all this safety stuff like he keeps talking about,
yeah,
look at that one team in your shop to find out what's going on with that.
Yeah. Well, I think they're going around, I swear it's the paint job. They all think they're the smoking aces of the 80s, the junkyard dogs. Like, you're not Richard Childress 1983, guys. Yeah. As much as you think you are, and you have all the same damn sponsors.
Yep.
Every time he gets on the car, he looks like 42-year-old Elvis. Exactly. And that's the other thing, Keith. You notice when he does the old 42-year-old Elvis, there's no underwear under there. That's illegal. I still don't understand how he hasn't been fined for that.
Mm-hmm.
So, which again, safety feature, because it's fire retardant material. You're expecting the AMR safety team to get there twice as fast because you're wearing half the layers. So, that brings us into the Cup race, which Dinger getting a head start on next year. He's in the 16 again, which as soon as Chastain got near him, they're like, oh, do we see Steve Letarte? Oh, is this the first page of the rivalry between them now?
Well,
they were teammates, Bubba Lou.
Even before we get to the race, now we talked about this off here. A little bit of controversy before the race even started.
Yep. Oh, there's Terry. Oh, that sucks, dude.
Right? Because Kip Moore did the command to start engines. As of the NASCAR sheet that went out on Friday morning,
right?
Kip Moore was not down to do the command.
No,
it was Mr. Tony Stewart.
Yes.
That's all of a sudden we're not sure who came up with this.
Yeah.
But he had come up with prior commitments, because we all know a few weeks ago he said he wouldn't be around if he didn't have other commitments the last few weeks.
Right.
For NASCAR.
Yeah, because I've been doing a whole lot. Like, I was surprised during the race when we heard Roger Penske come over the radio, because Roger Penske's a rare sighting at a NASCAR race.
Yes.
And especially now, I get, the guy's like 90 years old and owns IndyCar. But I guess IndyCar's wrapped for the year,
So
but,
it's come out that Smoke had prior commitments with sponsors for the pre-race meet and greets.
Mm. Okay.
Those meet and greets are usually done by the time the cars.
Well, not to mention, I'm pretty sure he, like us, has a Sam available with a golf cart.
Yeah. So,
in fact, we've seen that golf cart.
We have.
With him on it.
Yes.
So, everybody's got a golf cart around there. So, yeah, that's no. We call malarkey on that. So,
yes, Keith. Dixie vodka commitments.
Yes, actually, because it was the Dixie Vodka 400. I'm trying to think. It wasn't really anything else of note going into the race. Green flag drops, and Chase Elliott's dropped. Chase Briscoe dropped. It was really interesting, depending on who was lead, because I'm pulling for Ryan Blaney. And, he was there, and it was much like watching AJ Allmendinger. I'm like, dude, I can't handle it. The gut is turning, stressing me out. 6 points, 6 points, 8 points, 6 points. Oh, no, he's too good now, because all of a sudden somebody, like, whomever took over. One of the top guys was leading or whatever it was, but then one of the guys below him started leading. And then we had some non-playoff guys running up there, like Suarez again, up in the hunt intermittently, but everybody was intermittently because the tires were intermittently. Larson, more on him later, was up there. Your boy Truex.
But Truex has always run well at Homestead.
Yeah, and at times, when they
put the tires, the left's on the right and the right's on the left.
Yeah. He's had both good luck and bad luck. He's been always competitive. However, things don't always quite work. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Usually after Homestead, Martin wants to fire the pit crew as often as not. I did really much. Like John Hunter Nemechek, running for Bubba Wallace, ended up backing into the wall, and that kind of, which we get because we've known those cars can take a lot, but it's really hard to find the edge, and the edge is very narrow.
And that was his first time being in one of those cars.
Exactly. Yeah, and like 4 wide right off the start.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, really, other than that, Larson getting out to those big, huge leads.
Again, yeah, it was like similar to, what I saw in the Xfinity race. We didn't see it as much with the trucks. It was kind of 2 trucks where it kind of out.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So well, why don't we just get to it, Doug? Your boy finally. We're like, is he gonna? He's gonna keep the streak alive or not? Looking good out there. And so we come down pit road. Was that under caution? Is that why they were all on pit road at once?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep. Yep.
And now, admitted, and we had seen the scene, like even from roof cams, it was like all the brightness.
Yes.
Right? And we're not looking through a dirty windshield either. So a combination of things.
And that camera is at a different angle that they were showing as well, too.
Yes.
That wasn't an eye-level camera.
Yes. I was blinded. Exactly. Keith's favorite part of the race is when the drivers get blinded. Because he loves it when people get blinded. Yeah, so Kyle Larson was doing his best Kyle Busch impersonation, which is to maximize productivity. You want to be as further ahead as you can be. And so he was basically right on the bumper of Martin.
So my thing with this is, and my stance has probably softened on it since we last talked.
Yes.
But I think no matter what, Truex could have turned in 5 spots, 5 stalls ahead. He was going to get turned. With where Larson was on his bumper, he was going to get turned no matter what.
I disagree. Had he pulled into the other lane before decelerating, he would have been fine. Because you're peeling off same speed.
I still think Larson would have spun him regardless.
I don't know if Martin necessarily hit the brakes, but I think he at least let off. There was a deceleration there, and
which I think if you watch Martin's entrances to his stall, he never really does go early. He went at his usual time.
No, he went late.
But he's never a guy to go early, though.
Yes.
Right? So it's in about where he usually goes into his stall.
Now, right? And I will say, I think 3 to 4 feet between Larson and the guy behind him. So Larson had a bit of wiggle room where he could have laid off.
Yeah.
But again, I don't know if he needs to necessarily, being in the outside lane. Believe me, I am not trying to be the devil. I'm just being the devil's advocate on this. I'm not defending Hendrick Motorsport.
The other thing, and I kind of also mentioned it to you, is that Truex was good on the shorter run, only being 30 laps left.
Yes.
Right? And admittedly, Kyle said that Truex was his main competition.
Yes, he did.
Now, I wish I'd seen it, and I can't remember the 2 names for previous this year.
Mm-hmm.
Larson had 2 wins previous this year.
Yep.
With about 30 laps left, that main competition he had in both of those races got spun by the 5 car.
One of which resulted in a tense meeting on Tuesday.
Yes. So this is now 3 wins that Mr. Larson has had where he's spun the car that was probably the car that could have beat him.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, oh, not me. It's not me. Not my fault. Not my fault. So now, he's a perfect Hendrick Motorsports driver.
I was going to say, now, had Larson turned Truex in the last lap for the win,
totally different.
Totally different.
Well, because if you're racing, whatever.
Wasn't the other 2 earlier this year racing incidents though?
Could have been, yes, but still, it's.
I wouldn't say all.
No, Keith. No. This is now just another Hendrick car under caution spinning somebody, because we all know that Hendrick can do no wrong. We've already went off it on the top of the show, where a owner for Hendrick Motorsports in his car stopped on a track to spin a guy out who was about to possibly beat the car that he owns. right? And nothing happened. He ran away to his hauler, so he wasn't going to get into trouble.
Yep.
But I just think this is just another.
I will say, and it was not mentioned during the broadcast, but I thought it, and I think I mentioned to you in text was, I guarantee you, because everybody's got the telemetry, or especially NASCAR, you know they checked to see if Kyle goosed the gas or not. You know that was the first thing they checked was, did he goose the gas and turn Martin? I bet you they would have checked that data.
But like I said, he was right on Martin's bumper the whole time, so it wouldn't have mattered when Martin went to try and turn off.
Yeah, it would have. As long as, well, yeah, but if Martin is letting off the gas to turn in, Doug, from that outside lane, he deserves to be turned. That lane is not for slowing down. That lane is only for.
But still, I'm just still looking at it as that another under caution. Hendrick Motorsports can do whatever they want.
I think your driver needs to learn how to drive on pit road then too.
Well, it's that, and
you can't slow down from the outside lane. Now that was, I think you went, oh snap! I'm about 10 feet further even than I should be. I think there was some compensation there, even though you say he turns in late, but he did turn in late. Like, you know, now he didn't yank on the wheel, you know, because Junior was all about that. He was defending the.
Well, I think we throw that booth right out the window. I think what they say in the booth is totally horse shit as well, because they're all Hendrick employees.
Yes.
Let's face it, they're Hendrick employees. So yes. The Golden Four can do no wrong.
Yeah.
Right? So it's
so
like I've said, this is NASCAR is a Hendrick Motorsport owned entity.
Yeah. So Denny Hamlin had some issues. I saw the Hamlin haters. Oh, they're out on Twitter, Doug. Hamlin out of the playoffs. It's not a cutoff race.
No.
Not a cutoff race. And we're going to a track.
And also speaking about Larson, just one more thing on that there. All of his fans on social media. Again, they didn't care about Kyle winning.
Yeah.
They just wanted to have Kyle say something to Bubba in his post race.
Right.
Take your white hats, go somewhere else.
Yeah. So, I forgot what I was going to say. Yeah. So, Larson wins. We're going now into Martinsville, which is Denny Hamlin's track.
Yeah. Again, just for the finish.
Yeah.
The other thing I'm pissed off, and I've already said it here before, many shows. Truex needs to be pissed off more. Take less blame.
Yep.
Get fired up, because how he raced those last 30 laps, pissed off. You don't lose a race if you're going to race that pissed off and jump up that many spots.
Yeah. So we'll be headed into Martinsville. So I bring news and notes of the week. I have notes. That's right. I took screenshots so I wouldn't forget.
Oh
yeah. I like researched. Okay, so All-Star Race tickets was announced. $300 gets you the trucks and cup activities. Right? But the racing action actually starts Tuesday?
Tuesday night?
Yeah, with the CRA series. And the Cars Tour also will be doing practice. And then the next night, Wednesday, will be Cars Pro Late Model Practice Qualifying Feature, Cars Late Model Stock Tour Practice Qualifying and Feature. So we have the pros and the late models. But the late model tour sounds different than the pros. So I'm thinking the pros might be super late models, maybe.
Possibly.
And then Friday we get, Thursday is just the hauler parade. So it's basically Friday during 600 weekend. We do something, but we don't really do much.
Yeah.
And then we end Friday. We have the Cup Series practice and trucks, or both trucks and cup practice, and then a concert with artists to be announced.
Yes, and
Saturday will be truck qualifying and race, and then cup qualifying and a concert with artists to be announced.
And more importantly, throwback concession prices with $2 hot dogs, $2 Cokes, $2 bottles of Dasani, and $3 beers.
They could probably afford it because word has it the additional property, I don't think it's just going to be a camping world anymore. Now I'm hearing hotels and a casino. So if they're putting a casino on site,
yep,
they can afford $2 hot dogs. And then Sunday is going to be the NASCAR Open and All-Star Race. All right. Also, which I don't know, any comment on that other than $300 is a little stiff, Yeah. And plan on driving to and from the track because I don't think there might be a motel somewhat local, but that's a pretty rural area.
Mm-hmm.
Also, did you hear about Euro NASCAR's announcement, Doug?
I did not hear about that, no.
Oh. They have added, because they're racing in Finland as part of the series, different kind of track surface. Racing on ice.
Okay.
So a fella might want to throw his hat in the ring because you have some experience driving on ice. Just saying.
I do.
Mm-hmm. A lot. You've turned a lot of laps.
A lot of laps.
Yeah. You've turned a lot of laps. So,
except I don't turn left. I just turn right.
That's interesting. They asked Dale Jr. about that, and he was just like, I don't know.
Look for Matt Kenseth to make an appearance.
Oh, well, Wisconsin.
He raced on ice.
Yep. Also announced today, GMS Racing, one of your favorite organizations, has announced that Daniel Dye, grandson of Richard Petty, as I recall.
Is he?
But has hair, like Boris said.
Okay, yeah.
Will be driving in their truck series next year, full time. He'll be driving the new number 43 truck.
Ooh.
Go figure.
Yes.
So, which makes sense, Dye or Petty GMS Racing, they're a thing. And so it's kind of nice that we're going to have some Petty involvement, going for I don't how much longer is Richard going to be around?
Yeah.
Does he have in his will, hey, Kyle gets it when I retire, and Kyle's like, I guess I'm back in racing.
Yeah.
Which is okay because it's really, it's a lot of smiles and autographs. Richard's not there in the shop unless he wants to be.
Yep.
So,
yeah.
Most weeks I agree, Hip. Other than the stages are a little short for my liking. I want more live pit stops.
And as Keith has been saying in the chat there, Smoke will be racing straight line this weekend.
Yep.
Racing drag car. And then also Petty GMS made another announcement today.
Uh-huh.
That the crew chief for the 42 for Noah Gragson next year will be his current crew chief, Luke Lambert, returns to the Cup Series.
I like that. That's a very smart move. I'm wondering if there was some compensation handed Dale's way. Hey, can a fella also snag on a crew chief? He's but he's my wiliest of wily veterans.
So Luke hasn't been in the Cup Series since, it's a couple years ago where he missed out on the Final Four by like half a lap.
Yeah.
With it was Ryan Newman's crew chief.
That's cool. I like that. Now, was that when Newman was with Stuart Haas or Newman was with Childress?
Childress.
Okay, so he's basically going back home because the GMS is basically on the Childress or campus, which I'm pretty sure they just bought Germain Racing because that was right there across the street.
Yep.
Now they're like, we own both sides of the road. No, you don't. No, you don't. I like that move. Obviously I'm not a Gragson fan, but for him, great, familiar, communication. We know that's very important. And that's cool. That's cool. what else? Still no word really on a lineup for KBM racing next year.
No.
In the truck series, although it has been pretty much confirmed they will be a Chevrolet team.
Yep.
That's kind of where that is. I don't know. I don't think there was anything else. No.
I don't think there's anything else.
No, that's a fair amount of news by Tuesday.
Yeah.
NASCAR didn't slap any PPs today, which usually they slap them on Tuesdays, but sometimes on Wednesdays.
Sometimes, yeah.
Because if they change their mind after watching us, apparently. Do we know who's going into the 9 next year for JRM?
Yes, Brandon Jones.
Brandon Jones, right. I like that. I like him. He seems like very mature for his years, you know. And it's because he's kind of bounced around.
27.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. I like Junior's comment, you know, like someone needs to give Josh Berry a cup ride. I'm like, he's already 30.
Yeah.
So, you know, I would love to see Josh Berry in the Cup Series. But why don't you take him there, Junior? Whoa! You're talking $30 million there. Yeah, it seemed like, they tried to go live with the Ask Junior this morning. It lasted all 3 minutes and then it kiboshed with audio issues. However, it was determined that the car that the possum was found in has been retired for the year.
Okay.
Because they don't know if it got into the electricals or not. It was one of Allgaier's cars, apparently. Mm-hmm. So, sucks to be Allgaier because they probably want to take that car to Phoenix.
Yeah. Only other thing would be that Terry had set up in the chat that Danica could come up with what her health issues were when she was racing.
Mm.
Turned out to be implants.
What's that?
Turned out to be implants.
Oh.
Right there. See, he just posted it again. So he is alive and well.
There we are.
And was that the thing I sent you? Was that on Danica's own podcast? Had to be on Danica's own podcast and had Denny on.
No, I thought that was on another podcast. Oh, it might have been on hers. I don't remember.
I don't know. Just where she basically said that she thought that we were very smart and that Joey Logano was a complete ass on the track. And she hates him just a touch more than Denny Hamlin. And she was even actually telling Denny that at the time.
Yeah. Well, it's hard to get the straps down properly, Keith. Just saying. I don't know. I don't know. I can only imagine. So, on that note, do you have a prediction for Martinsville?
Well, apparently the odds makers have made Chase Elliott the favorite.
However, Denny Hamlin's leading the power rankings this week, so whatever that means. I don't put any credence into either of them. So apparently, if you follow the power rankings, bet on Hamlin. If you want to follow the odds makers, bet on the guy who can't finish above 17th in the last month.
I am going to bet on the guy that has like an average finish of third in this Cup races this year.
Ooh.
AJ Allmendinger.
Ooh. Bold choice. I was figuring on him for the Xfinity race.
Well, yeah, he could do the double.
He could sweep the weekend. I'm thinking Denny Hamlin's gonna, grab that bit right there and win number 8 at the track.
Could, yep.
And also, let's not count out Brad Keselowski at that track.
Mm-hmm.
He was doing a little better this past week.
Yep.
And he's trying to keep the streak alive. I'm like, hey, he's not going to.
I closed out my other window, but I read that they are actually doing a Matt Kenseth throwback this weekend for Roush, I believe.
Chris Buescher.
Yes.
Yeah, same sponsor that Matt had in 2012, so they're like, Moz will just do the same paint scheme. That's the design department just phoning it in. Hey, we brought back this sponsor. Come up with a paint scheme. Just through the old files. Yoink. How does this look, boss?
It's not phoning it in as much as the Penske Xfinity team in their throwback schemes.
Which is just the discount tire sponsored car that's looked the same since day one.
Yes.
Yep. I wonder how many of those locations Roger Penske owns, because they've been sponsoring they sponsor all the series for him.
Mm-hmm.
And the last M&M car will be in Phoenix with etchings of people all over the car. And I'm like, I don't think they're etchings because it's a vinyl wrap. It might be an etched look, but it ain't an etching. Because etching is way too bumpy. You want the car smooth, aero. That'd be all the turbulence with etching.
Yes.
So, yeah. Trucks are off till Phoenix. So 2 weeks left. Yeah, penultimate race.
It is. We'll see who gets in, who does not get in.
I'm pulling for Blaney, as much as I'm not a Roger Penske fan, but I'm pulling for Blaney. I hope Elliott has one more bad race because that will cost him getting into the Final Four.
Yes.
It's going to be interesting because we know at least 2 cars are going to get in on points. At least 2. Possibly 3 with the way the season's going.
Yes, yeah.
Well, because Truex could pull out the win, or Dinger could pull out the win. And, all right, well, then it's, anybody's race in many ways. Chastain will make it in. I hope he does not. No, actually, he won't make it in. Denny Hamlin will make sure of that.
We will see.
Was the shenanigans at Martinsville or was that Richmond?
I forget.
Speaking of stopping on the track.
Wasn't that the WWT?
Or was it there?
I think so.
Okay. Where they basically, NASCAR just had to, we got to stop the race and deal with this chicanery. And, yeah. Thanks, Keith. Yeah, appreciate it. Nice to know Keith has your back, not mine. Okay.
Well.
He felt bad for earlier beating up on you, I guess. So he decides to beat up on me too. That's fine. That's fine. All right, that's fine. On that note, he's been Doug. I've been Ben. This has been NasCanucks. If you're new, please subscribe. And what?
Watch out for your finger. See you, Marcus.